to sleep. Pray to God our hopes to keep. Take fears and make us strong. Lead us to where we belong. And let it all go by.
One of the things that was very humbling to me as I walked into this job is that just about all the problems in the world are my problems. You know, everything from hunger to lack of health care to lack of access to energy, they all fall into the World Bank. But some of the things that I think are remarkable, I was born in 1959 here in Seoul. A few years before that, the GDP per capita of Korea was less than $100, less than most African countries. But what's even more remarkable is that the number of people who graduated from college in 1950 was less than 5% in Korea. And so, you know, to use a Korean word, the phenomenon of Korea is an 있을 수 없는 일이라고. That's what, you know, an impossible fact that Korea has done what it has. But the thing is, back in those days, the development economists were saying that in 1950, 1960, even into 1970, they were saying that it would be impossible for Korea to develop as a society. Korea would not develop because, you know, this is Hangyongwan University, because of a fundamentalist approach to Confucianism, to the lack of a culture that values education, I kid you not, and the fact that there was not enough Western influence in this country. And they predicted back in those years that the two countries in this area that would really develop would be Philippines and Pakistan. Right? And part of the argument was that it was because they had sufficient contact with Western culture. Now, everything's changing, but the thing that worries me most right now is some of these arguments that were used to talk about Korean development are being used in almost exactly the same form to talk about development in Africa. Right? So I think what's changing most is that we are never, and we should never, ever call a country a basket case. That's what Korea was called, a basket case. I just visited the Sahel with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, Burkina Faso, Mali, places where people think, oh my gosh, how are you ever going to do development? And I saw incredibly exciting possibilities and a commitment to development that made me feel that those folks are where Koreans were in the 50s and 60s. And let me tell you, they have every bit as much of a desire and a feeling that they have a right to develop as Koreans did. That's one of the most fundamental things that are changing. There are other things that are very worrisome. Climate change. We just came from the opening of the Green Climate Facility, and for all the students in the room, let me tell you, this is not an issue for your children or grandchildren. It's an issue for you. You will be in your 30s and 40s, and in your 30s and 40s, Bangkok could be underwater. Fundamental changes are going to happen, and you've got to face them. And so at the World Bank Group, we're really doing a pivot and trying to focus as much of our resources as possible on tackling climate change. One of the things that worries me most is youth unemployment. There are some 3 billion of the world's 7 billion people who are under the age of 24. The vast majority of them are living in developing countries. And young people are 2 to 4 times more likely than adults, older adults, to be unemployed. We're seeing unemployment rates in Spain of over 50% for young people. I know this is also a problem here in Korea. So what is the key to creating jobs for young people? Well, it's like a chicken and an egg problem. You need creative, innovative people who create the new businesses, who create the jobs that employ young people. But if young people are already on the market looking for a job, where are those innovative ideas going to come from? That's why I think President Park's focus on a creative economy is so important. Every single country needs to think about that, how they can create dynamism and creativity in their economies.
Thank you for Jim's such a broad, mindful assessment. I'd like to discuss on the youth unemployment regarding to your presentation. In a sense, the global society is in a tragic state under such a high unemployment rate, which will not be resolved without global cooperation in the future. Many complicated factors generated high youth unemployment rate so far. Among them, I'd like to propose to open the labor market more broadly to the younger generation and to increase student mobility across the borders. Global society will move forward, removing barriers to allow a talented younger generation to get jobs in the global society in the future. And also in that sense, university and the World Bank will develop much rooms to open younger generations of jobs in the future. Thank you. Okay, to meet these development challenges, education would be most important foundation. Jim, how can education drive productivity and competitiveness and allow countries to meet these development challenges? What lessons can the world learn from Korea?
Please.
Okay, since he's asking, I will start.
Gender equality. Gender equality is very important.
Thank you. I think that the Korean educational system has been very much standardized. And the Korea is very famous for the very high motivation to achieve academically. I think this is certainly contributed to the development of South Korea. We are a very poor country with not much natural resources, so only disciplined human capital was our advantages. So education has tremendously contributed to South Korea's economic development. However, now we are a mature economy and competing in the world in this knowledge-intensive information society. So therefore, we need to be more innovative, and we need to provide more creative education. I think everybody knows about this problem, and the government responded many ideas. However, our entrance exam center, the secondary education, is very adamant to change, especially middle school and high school. And even this entrance exam competition begins in the elementary school years. I think it's very unlucky because all the logical thinking and reasoning usually start in the earlier stages. But the kids already just swapped into the entrance exam competition. So I think unless we change this secondary education to be more flexible. I know our perspective for the intellectual and economic competitiveness is not that bright. However, on the other hand, higher education-wise, we've been quite successful. And many Korean colleges, including SKKU, has been successful to be competitive academically. And also, we opened up to foreign students and also foreign faculty members to study and to teach in universities. This inward globalization is helped Korean colleges to be recognized by international assessing agencies, and that's a tremendous achievement. Nevertheless, I think there is two problems in Korea's higher education because there are too much waste because too many high school graduates advance to college. As you know, almost 80% of high school graduates advance to college, 2-year college and 4-year universities. Mm-hmm. So after they graduated, actually the job they are expecting is something they didn't have to invest time and money. So therefore, I think we need to strengthen some kind of linkage between the higher education institutions and labor market. And another waste is female graduates. And Korean women achieved parity in terms of education, higher educations. However, many Korean women tend to get lost when they move from the higher education to labor market. So unless these educated females work more actively, I think the economic competitiveness of our country will not be strong. So that's my 2 points.